Most of Turkey's territory is in Asia. Our nation traces its origins to Central Asia. Therefore, we have very close relationships across Asia, starting with our brothers and sisters. Until now, Turkey played an active role in all issues related to Asia. We redoubled our efforts under the leadership of Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Most recently, we launched the Asia Anew initiative to develop our cooperation with Asian nations. Naturally, we are proud of our Asian identity as well. That is why we have shown strong interest in this conference. We have always tried to use our geopolitical assets to create opportunities for our neighbors, for our region, and for all of humanity. Today, Turkey realizes its geopolitical, economic, diplomatic, and military potential to be an indispensable partner in security, trade, energy, and irregular migration for Europe and Asia. President Erdogan's leadership and the AK Party governments created a climate of stability in Turkey, which is rare in our history and in our region as well. This political movement and its leader transformed Turkey into an influential power and in the region and worldwide. Today, our country engaged in active diplomacy to voice its opinions, take action, and implement its decisions regarding regional and global issues. Turkey can be described as a stabilizing power, which is the title of my last book, Turkey as a Stabilizing Power in an Age of Uncertainty. Under the President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's leadership, our country works for stability, peace, and goodness in the international arena. Today, we host more refugees and war victims than any other country. We are also among the world's top humanitarian donors. At the same time, we combat all forms of terrorism to consolidate our national security. We also lead efforts to promote regional and global security. In doing so, we develop our relations with all nations based on the win-win principle. Our President leads efforts to address international systems injustice, starting with the UN Security Council with the motto, "The world is bigger than five." We believe that a fairer world will be possible once we reach that goal. Turkey's efforts for peace and stability yielded results in the Russia-Ukraine war. As the only leader that speaks with the Russian and Ukrainian presidents, President Erdogan has been working for open dialogue, a diplomatic solution, and a just peace. Russia and Ukraine's faith in President Erdogan and Turkey made it possible for negotiations to begin in our country. It seems like that process has stopped, as you know. However, we believe that we can facilitate a return to negotiations and lasting peace. Again, President Erdogan's leader-to-leader diplomacy facilitated the grain deal and a prisoner exchange between Russia and Ukraine. These developments keep our hope alive. Turkey played a key role to prevent global food crisis by facilitating the opening of a grain corridor. Negotiations between Russian and Ukrainian officials in Istanbul ended yesterday, and the grain deal has been extended, as you know. We are also ready to assume responsibility for ending the energy crisis, which was caused by the Russia-Ukraine war. Finally, Turkey's National Intelligence Agency brought together in Istanbul, in Ankara, the American and Russian intelligence chefs. That meeting was an important outcome of our principled and constructive policy. It also facilitated dialogue on threats against regional and global security. This initiative was a great example of intelligence diplomacy. Dear participants, Turkey, our country, takes those steps to help peace and stability prevail in our region and worldwide. Of course, we know that hurts the interests and plans of those who benefit from uncertainty, chaos, and violence. In turn, they threaten us with sanctions, sometimes directly, and use terrorist organizations to make our country kneel. Our country faced many challenges, including a coup attempt, terror attacks, economic sanctions, financial operations, and another important thing, systematic disinformation. None of them made us kneel until now, and we will not bow to anyone in the future. Under President Erdogan's leadership, Turkey neutralized all those threats through unity, solidarity, and determination. Today, we achieve great results in the fight against terrorism. We pursue a policy of robust development through a new and original modernization and development experience that doesn't depend on the West. We pursue an independent foreign policy that puts Turkish interests first. We contribute to peace and stability with our diplomatic efforts. Let me be clear, all those things are possible because President Erdogan and the AK Party governments have fought for democracy against anti-democratic actors for last 20 years. It is important to recall Turkey's fight for democracy at this meeting of International Conference of Asian Political Parties, which promotes the dialogue and cooperation among political parties. I believe that Turkey's transformation, thanks to President Erdogan's original policy of modernization and development, democratization efforts, and leader diplomacy, represents an important experience for our friends, brothers, and sisters. After all, a country's diplomatic initiatives or role in international peace and security are directly linked to its efforts to strengthen democracy and empower civilian politics. That is why we attach importance to this conference as a platform for solidarity and cooperation. It is very important to cooperate more closely and address today's challenges together on such platforms. At this point, I would like to draw your attention to fighting together against the terrorist organization FETÖ, which carried out a coup attempt in Turkey and remains operational in many countries, unfortunately. That bloody organization killed 252 Turkish citizens and injured thousands on the night of July 15, 2016 alone. That night, the Turkish state and Turkish people worked together under the leadership of President Erdogan to prevent FETÖ's coup attempt. Later, Turkey took decisive steps to eliminate the FETÖ threat altogether. That organization pretends to be a religious organization or educational movement, but it undermines states, turns young people into enemies of their country and enemies of the democracy, and uses them like intelligence assets. We don't want any country to experience the same problems as Turkey. That's why all members of the International Conference of Asian Political Parties should raise awareness about FETÖ in their own countries. I would like to stress that Turkey will completely support your fight against FETÖ and, of course, your fight against all forms of terrorism. Finally, I would like to touch upon another global problem that I think is important and that concerns all of us: disinformation. Disinformation is among the most serious challenges that we face today. Let me add that according to a study by Oxford University, Turkey is among the countries most affected by disinformation. Indeed, Turkey's commitment to putting its interests first and playing an active role in the international area lead to such attacks in information area. However, we witness that people worldwide can easily distinguish between truth and lies once we leave certain echo chambers. We witness that people worldwide believe in the sincerity, truthfulness, and honesty of Turkish people and our president. In recent months, with the support of oppressed people worldwide, Turkey took concrete steps to better combat disinformation and influence operations. Specifically, we compelled some organizations which broadcast in Turkish with financial support of foreign governments to comply with Turkish laws. Later, the Turkish parliament passed a law to combat disinformation on social media platforms. That legislation will prevent, I believe, smear campaigns. Of course, our steps made those groups which run such campaigns and operations very unhappy. At the same time, their collaborators in Turkey started to talk about freedom and democracy. There is only one thing that we tell them. There is no freedom of light. There is no freedom of disinformation. We reject the Western-centric, Eurocentric double standards on disinformation and influence operations. The same regulations are considered natural, right, just, and even encouraged in Western countries. If you claim that those rules amount to violations of free speech, then you must have different things in mind. That means that you view those countries as places where you can conduct such operations. In other words, they say that it is acceptable for some states to meddle in elections and mislead the public in other countries. I want to state very clearly that Turkey will not fall to such double standards. There is no doubt that disinformation is a global threat today. We have all the same problem. That is why we must combat disinformation in bilateral and global contexts. In this sense, political parties have a very important responsibilities. At the same time, we have to underline that there is a global order as well of exploitation regarding communication and the media. We must stand against that order with cooperation and joint initiatives. We must develop the necessary mechanisms. I believe that together we can fight for the truth much more effectively. In this sense, establishing platforms to fight disinformation under the International Conference of Asian Political Parties umbrella would be very, very significant step.